Good day. I'm just going to be talking about quickly a build that I've been working through mentally for when Clockwork City drops. I'm calling it the Bodkin. It's a bow warden build that focuses around armor penetration, which over penetration is a thing, but at the same time, I just really felt like this was something that could be interesting and kind of fun to test out eventually. Now, I currently don't have access to the PTS because I couldn't be bothered downloading a separate copy of VSO, so that's generally why it's like that. But I'll just go over it quickly. The equipment that I'd personally aim to use would be full medium, uh, except for the shoulder. The shoulder will be a heavy piece. 5 Night Mother's Gaze and 5 Unfathomable Darkness. This will be a crit heavy build, so while technically it won't be all that helpful in PvP for getting damage up, it will keep the increased armor penetration up at least a significant amount of the time. So, head, chest, hands, waist, legs, boots, whatever. Um, as long as there are 4 pieces, Night Mother's Gaze, the other 2 pieces, the for me, I said hands and boots, Unfathomable Darkness, with Unfathomable as the jewelry. Weapons, it's bow, so both Night Mother's Gaze, both sharpened. Everything except for the legs, or at least one of the bigger pieces, divines. That bigger piece will be infused. Of course, if you don't feel like that would work out, you can swap it out for like a couple or even all impenetrable. But anyway, for the shoulder, I said heavy crags, simply because more armor penetration. I always find that to be quite helpful. So, enchantments, stamina across the line, except for the infused piece, I put health on that simply to get health up a little bit more. On the bow, the first one, I put poison. It could really be anything, it's really up to you guys. It's really up to anyone, really. And then the accessories, just 1 stamina recovery glyph, maybe 2 if you want, and then a couple weapon damage. Just going to look at the skills quickly. So on the skill line, I put focused aim. I really like it as a skill. It adds minor fracture, so that's going to bump penetration up a bit more. Cutting dive, I just really like the ability. Subterranean assault again is going to bump penetration a bit with the major fracture debuff. Then just your standard bull netch and green lotus. I put ballista on because I just really like the burst damage that it gives. Then back bar is really just a bunch of AoE and dots, so anti-cavalry caltrops, poison injection, endless hail, acid spray. Soothing spores I put in just for an extra bit of healing, and then healing thicket as the ultimate. Under champion points, most of it is really irrelevant except for this part. I put 51 into piercing. Now that takes it a bit too high. I calculated, and with everything, you would be over penetrating most PVE content by quite a bit. I found that after I did the calculations and looking into it, most people say that about 18k is the resistance that most dungeon mobs, or was it dungeon bosses? I think it was dungeon bosses have. And with the entire setup, it actually gets up to about 1844. So that's probably a little bit too much. So you can just dial that back as needed, or just not activate the minor fracture and put something else in instead. Like, for example, you might put a trap on this back bar, and then just put the poison spray there. That's just as an example. Let's get that back to normal. Wait, wrong one. There we go. Okay. Anyway, going back through the champion points, there is 43 into mighty, 51 into piercing, 23 into Precise, 37 into Thaumaturgy, 47 into Master at Arms, 19 into Blessed, just up healing a little bit, 50 into Tumbling, 60 into Moonclaw, 60 into Tenacity, 31 into Warlord, 19 into Siphoner, 20 into Quick Recovery, 50 into Hardy, 50 into Elemental Defender, 50 into Thick Skinned, and 50 into Ironclad. I generally don't really have much of an idea what I'm doing when it comes to champion points, so that's probably a really bad setup, but oh well. Aside from that, I went with Wood Elf. You don't really need to. Technically, this could be done on any class as long as you have access to a major fracture ability, like, I think the Nightblade's Reaper's Mark, etc., etc. And then Mundustone, I went with the Thief because it ups the crit rate, and that will help you out with, like, or the Night Mother's Gaze set to get that at a constant. I'd personally aim for a crit rate about, I'm not sure, like 50% unbuffed. Because then when you buff with, I think it's Green Lotus, yeah, Green Lotus, it'll get up to about 60%, and then you're just critting enough to make the Night Mothers a constant. An alternative that you could do is go with the Spriggan set instead of Night Mothers. However, I found that this overpenetrated a lot more, and I don't know, I just didn't really enjoy it. Well, enjoy the idea of it, rather. I'm probably going to be testing this eventually soon. If you want to know more, then, I don't know, subscribe so you're alerted when it comes out, I guess, and leave me feedback. I'd really love some feedback this time. Like, I want people's opinions, because I want to design this and make it so that somebody might find it interesting. Anyway, I guess I'll maybe see someone later. Cheers!